So where education comes in is the NVCA has an education program, and pre-COVID days, we would see approximately 14,000 students and adults a year. And we teach from kindergarten to grade 12 and some public programming as well. So we can have students coming to Tiffin, but the plan is that we will be traveling to Collingwood to bring this new program to the students in Collingwood. And we're really hoping that that's going to be in keeping with our new COVID regulations. It would be better for us to travel to students instead of putting children on a bus. So we're hoping that that's still going to go through in the fall. Slide. So the Microplastics program in Collingwood, sponsored by Georgian Bay Forever, will be visiting students, as I said earlier, from grades 6 to 8. And they'll be learning about watersheds and how water travels down slopes and carries all of this waste down into Georgian Bay, and one of them being the microplastics. We'll talk about, in this picture here, students are looking what would travel down and into the stream and go right out to where green spaces are without treatment. Slide, please. So within our watershed, we have the Nottawasaga River, and all along it, as the water travels north into Georgian Bay, there are all sorts of little rivers that collect the water, and from the edges of the Oak Ridges of Moraine, Niagara Escarpment to the west, and the Oro Moraine, and all of that water collects in the internationally significant Minising wetlands before flowing into Georgian Bay. And a watershed is typically geographically designed like a big bowl. And so this bowl, which is our Nottawasaga Valley, all of that water travels and ends up pouring out as if the bowl has one little spout into Georgian Bay. Slide, please. Thank you. So, and this is because water flows with the lay of the land. And the watershed is an area that catches all the water, whether it's rain or snow, and drains and seeps and marsh and rivers and streams. And in all of our watershed, we have 18 different municipalities, and all of this water is collecting, as Brooke had said, all sorts of microplastics, macroplastics, and pollution. Slide, please. Schools within close proximity to the shore will be able to walk and collect soil and water samples and bring them back. We're going to have some microscopes. And again, it's not about the cleaning up, it's more of the discovery, the hands-on science that will make this so much more exciting for students so they can really understand what's happening. They're going to discover little microfibers, like you see this little purple one next to these grains of sand, and they're going to find nurdles and foam pellets, and they're really going to grasp what's happening and why it's important to divert any of these plastics, whether they're macro and breaking down to become these microplastics. Slide, please. They're going to have worksheets like this, and they're going to be collecting and sorting and counting. And much like Georgian Bay Forever does in terms of telling what are the types of garbage, where are they coming from? And in that way, students can really see how the changes and the things that they might be able to do to divert their own waste, whether they're refusing a straw when they go to fast foods, and how those things end up along our shores. They can actually see it and tally it for themselves. Slide, please. If the students in Collingwood are too far to walk from their school to the shoreline, we will be using and focusing on microfibers. So these microfibers that are captured in the divert and capture program, we're going to be looking at those and sorting them as well, and determining what type of clothes, and thinking about what things could be on the clothes, whether pollutants could be in there as well. You can see this is a bunch of sand up close, and there is a fiber in there. So it's going to be a real exciting experiment for the students. Slide, please. And I really like how Brooke talked a lot about how we can change. With our programs, we always try to stop all programming on a good note, on a positive note. So we talk briefly about things that humans do to the environment that are not good. We have something called the bad hippo and the good hippo. And so hippo habitat destruction is one of the main reasons why we have species at risk. And we talk about invasive species and pollutions, of which obviously our micro and macroplastics would be in. And people and over harvesting. What we really try to focus on more so is the good hippo. Slide, please. So we talk about habitat restoration and information. Again, education is key. It's really hard to make the right choices when we don't know what they are. So keeping informed, bringing these programs to students who then the hope is they bring it home and share it with their families and so on. We have a school very close to us at Tiffin, and the high school banned straws last year. So there's no straws allowed in the school. Really key for making good choices. We kind of focus on the 7 R's and not just the 3. Oftentimes the 3 R's with reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce is number 1 when you're just talking about 3. But more and more we're hearing about 7 R's. So the first thing is to refuse. If you're going through getting some fast food, you can refuse the plastic and bring your own containers. Reducing your waste, reusing things, and letting things rot is another one that's a new thing to think about. And as Brooke had said about rethinking what you're buying when you're going to the grocery store, you don't need to necessarily put everything in a plastic bag, especially if it's already in a plastic bag. So again, this rethinking, we're so used to things being a certain way and they don't have to be. Purchase items responsibly, and organizations like GBF, who are working on collecting money so that they can put that money to good use to clean up the environment. So one person can make a lot of difference. And actually, I think that's my last slide, Brooke.